Welcome back, dear students, to the continuation of fluid power systems. So today we are going to discuss about the important fluid properties, the hydraulic oils, and we will begin with the properties of them one by one. There are more than 10 important properties to be discussed, so we will cover those in 2 or 3 classes. So please be attentive till the end of the lecture, and if you have any doubts, please type in the comment box below, and please don't forget to subscribe to get the updations notifications of the new videos uploaded. So these are the reference textbooks. Once again, I would like to remind you.
So hydraulic oils. So each and every hydraulic system require some kind of fluid, right? So that the power is transmitted. The prime mover powers the system, and ultimately that mechanical energy will be converted to hydraulic energy, and finally the hydraulic energy will be transmitted and converted to mechanical form again. So we have seen the different components, the nomenclature, like the types of pumps, valves, right? So today we'll be dealing with the hydraulic oils, what a hydraulic oil is, what the purpose is, what are the different types of oils, and obviously the important properties. So transmission of power in a hydraulic system is carried out using hydraulic oils, mainly liquid form of oils, fluids. So this is the situation in a hydraulic system. The pressure energy of the fluid is increased. The pressure is increased by pressurizing the fluid from one place to another. The pressure of the fluid is increased, and thereby power transmission is possible in the case of hydrostatic systems. So we have seen two different types of systems, right? Do you remember? Please try to recollect what we have discussed in the first class. So in addition to the power transmission, the hydraulic oils serve the purpose of lubrication also. So availability, low cost, if you check the history, the fire resistance, low cost and availability in large amount made water as the commonly employed hydraulic oil at first. So water was the most commonly employed hydraulic fluid in the history in the beginning when the hydraulic systems were developed. But very important disadvantage of the water is rusting, right? Rust promoting tendency. Whatever surface or materials water is in contact, it will promote rust. And obviously, it is having poor lubricity. If you check the viscosity of the water, you can understand that. Narrow range of working temperature. So obviously, water may get boiled if the temperature is increased above its boiling point at the corresponding pressure. Then later, on a later stage, the use of water as a hydraulic fluid has become obsolete and limited its use in only in special applications where the temperature range is limited, that is below the boiling point of water and above the freezing point. Only these kind of applications water were used in continuation. Now it's looking nice, right? The basic properties. These are the basic properties categorized. So there are 14 important properties of hydraulic oils, namely viscosity, density, compressibility, thermal expansion, vapor pressure, lubrication, compatibility, chemical stability, oxidation stability, foaming, cleanliness, thermal properties. There are different thermal properties like fire point, flash point, power point, thermal conductivity. All these are thermal properties. Acidity and toxicity. Toxicity. So all these are the basic required characteristics or properties of various hydraulic oils. So whenever you select a hydraulic oil, before selecting an appropriate hydraulic oil, you should consider all these properties whether it is suitable for the particular selected application. So first one is viscosity. As you have already studied, viscosity is a property of any fluid by which it offers a resistance. So fluid flow is made possible by sliding one layer of the fluid over the adjacent layer. That is how fluid flow is made possible. Am I right? So whenever there is a resistance between these adjacent layers, the flow will get affected. That property by which the fluid resists its flow or the movement of one layer over the other is characterized as termed as viscosity. It is also known as dynamic viscosity. We'll come into that. So how the viscosity has come into effect? It is the effect of cohesion. What is cohesion? Attraction of similar particles and interaction between the molecules. So one molecule may impart energy to the adjacent molecule or vice versa. So whenever molecules are in random motion, there will be energy transaction, energy transfer between the molecules. So the viscosity, that characteristic viscosity is the effect of cohesion and interaction between molecules. Now that when one layer is moving over the other, it is shearing, right? That process is termed as shearing. That movement is by shearing one layer over the other. It is not pushing or pulling or tensile or compression, it is shearing. One layer is sheared over the other. So that's why it is termed as shear stress. Is a force by stress is force per unit area, similar to pressure. Okay, in the case of pressure, is a force per normal stress. Pressure is a normal stress, normal force per unit area perpendicular to it. We have already studied that. Now the shear stress, the force is applied along the layer, along the surface to move one layer over the other. So that shear stress denoted by tau, Greek letter tau, is given by Newton's law of viscosity. We have already discussed this in the first chapter, first module. Let us refresh that once again. Suppose you have a fixed plate at the bottom, a flat fixed plate at the bottom where the velocity is 0 and the distance of this plate on a vertical direction is 0. Y. Y is the coordinate axis. This is perpendicular axis. This is the x-axis. You can see here the coordinate system here. X is abscissa and y is the ordinate. And the velocity of this plate is 0, that means it is fixed. The velocity of the upper plate, which is situated at a distance of h from the bottom plate, is moving with a velocity v, and it is situated at a distance of h, y is equal to h. Now, this is the variation of velocity of the fluid. If a fluid is made to flow between these two plates, that is a fixed plate and a moved plate, when a fluid is allowed to move between these two plates, the velocity profile or the variation of velocity from the fixed plate to the moving plate will be like this. The velocity, I mean the fluid, will be trying to achieve the velocity of the plate here, free stream velocity. Okay, so it will be 0, the velocity will be 0 for the fluid particles which are in the neighborhood of this fixed plate, which are sticking onto this plate, the velocity will be 0. There are so many other terminologies associated with this boundary layer separation and all, that is nothing important here, that we will discuss in another session separately. So here you can see this is a velocity profile. The velocity is varying continuously along y is equal to 0 to h. Okay, so in such a situation, the Newton has developed a law known as Newton's law of viscosity, by which viscosity is defined as well as the shear stress is found to be, the shear stress is the stress when a force is applied in a plane parallel to the movement or the application of force. It is given by tau is equal to, tau is the shear stress, mu du by dy. Du by dy is known as velocity gradient, ratio of change in velocity to the distance between the fixed and moving plates. And mu is the viscosity. It is a constant of proportionality, viscosity. So Newton found that the shear stress is directly proportional to the velocity gradient, du by dy. And he introduced the constant of proportionality as mu. So the viscosity defined by Newton's law is termed as dynamic viscosity or simply viscosity. And it is having the units in SI system, Newton second per meter square. Newton second per meter square. If you look back the equation and substitute for tau, du and dy, you will get this unit, Newton second per meter square, in CGS system. What is CGS system? Centimeter gram second. Short form is CGS. It is having the units of poise, denoted by capital P. One poise is related with Newton second per meter square as 1 poise is equal to 0.1 Newton second per meter square. Okay. Kinematic viscosity, on the other hand, is the ratio of dynamic viscosity to mass density. You know what dynamic viscosity is now, right? Mu. And mass density is mass by volume. Okay, mass of the fluid divided by volume of the fluid. Mass density, rho. So, which is denoted by nu. Sorry, I forgot to mention that here, since it is already discussed in the previous classes. So dynamic viscosity is mu and kinematic viscosity is nu, Greek letter nu. It is having the units of meter square per second and Stokes or uppercase s lowercase t in CGS system. Again, there is a relation between Stokes and SI system. One Stokes is equal to 10 to the power minus 4 meter square per second. So there is a relation between viscosity and temperature. Viscosity of liquids decreases with temperature and viscosity of gases increases with temperature. That is a tendency. Now, how to designate a fluid which is having a certain viscosity? For example, a manufacturer, suppose a hydraulic fluid is referred to as VG32. VG32. That means it is having the viscosity of 32 centistokes, CS T refers to centistocks at 40 degrees Celsius. So 40 degrees Celsius is considered as standard temperature at which viscosity is evaluated. So Vg32 means the hydraulic fluid is having viscosity of 32 centistocks at 40 degrees Celsius. Now there is an important measure for viscosity known as viscosity index. So from the discussion what we had now, we have understood that it is very important to keep the oil viscosity within a certain range for the proper motion of the fluid between the components in the pipelines, right? That is, in short, during the system's operation. The viscosity index, in short VI, is a number. It is a number. Okay, viscosity index is a number. It is used in industry to indicate the effect of temperature variation on the viscosity of the oil. We have seen the viscosity of the liquids decreases with the temperature and that of the gases increases with the temperature. Okay, so viscosity index is a number to indicate that effect, how the viscosity is varying with temperature. So a low viscosity index signifies a large change of viscosity with the temperature. Suppose the viscosity index is very low for a hydraulic oil. That means there will be a large variation of viscosity with the temperature. On the other hand, very high viscosity index represents a very small change in viscosity with temperature for the hydraulic oil. So please keep these things in mind. It is very important with respect to the hydraulic systems, the selection of hydraulic oils. Now, why that viscosity index is important? You know that it gives the relationship of the viscosity variation with temperature, right? For example, if you take the military aircrafts, a lot of hydraulic systems are employed in a military aircraft. So very high viscosity index hydraulic oils are used in military aircrafts. Very high viscosity index means small variation with respect to temperature. The viscosity will be varying slightly with temperature. Why? Why you need to select very high viscosity index hydraulic oil for military aircrafts? They are exposed to wide temperature ranges from sub-zero to very high temperature values. Sub-zero temperature at very high altitude and high temperature at the ground level. So in order to take care of that, selection of hydraulic oils in the hydraulic systems in the military aircrafts are very important. This is just for an example. Similarly, for each and every condition, each and every application of hydraulic systems, you can see that the selection of oil and the viscosity index of the oil are pretty much important in the selection of oils. So usually the manufacturer of the oil as well as the hydraulic systems will provide the acceptable range of operating temperature as well as the viscosity of the hydraulic oil used. So there is a lot of scope in the manufacturing side in the selection of appropriate oil and the design of hydraulic system. If you go and simply buy a hydraulic system, that is fine. If you simply tell them your requirement, the application scenario, they can easily supply. But where you are going to work? You're going to work not on the customer side, but on the provider side, the design side. So you should understand the fundamentals, why it is provided, Why is it so? Why that viscosity index is low or high? Why that hydraulic component is designed like that? So in order to design and understand the concept principle behind that, you should learn and study all these fundamental things. Another example, if you take, for example, a gear pump, the fluid temperature ranges from minus 15 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius, and the viscosity of the oil in the gear pump ranges from 10 to 300 centistokes. So appropriate oil selection is important. Now, how the viscosity is affected in hydraulic system operation or performance? Is inappropriate oil with improper viscosity is selected, there could be hydraulic losses in the transmission lines, in the pipelines, which are connecting the different components in the hydraulic system. Resistance to fluid flow in narrow conduits. If very high viscosity oils are used, there could be very narrow pipes or conduits will be there, right? So if the viscosity is low, what will happen? The fluid will stall. It will not flow at all. Then viscous friction forces and damping effect also may cause the operation or functioning of the hydraulic system if you are unable to select an oil with proper viscosity. Second property of the hydraulic oil is oil density. You know, density is by definition mass per unit volume of the oil. Mass of the oil divided by volume of the oil. But since the hydraulic oils are having low compressibility, liquids are having low compressibility, right? And volumetric thermal expansion, density is practically constant under normal operating conditions of the range of 850 to 900 kilogram per meter cube. So oil density, the effect of oil density on the hydraulic system performance is both the transient and steady state operation. Transient means what? Varying with time. Okay, transient and steady state operations of the hydraulic system will get affected with the density variation. Third property is the compressibility, oil compressibility. So liquid compressibility is defined as the ability of the liquid to change its volume when the pressure varies. When the pressure is varied, how much the volume of the liquid is changed proportionately. That is given by compressibility. It is also known as bulk modulus of elasticity. I studied that. So it is given as the ratio of variation in pressure to fractional change in volume. So this is another factor of consideration because the hydraulic oil, the fluid, will be pressurized. Whenever it is pressurized, how much it will compress or shrink in volume? That is an important criteria. So that has to be taken care. The large value of bulk modulus of elasticity. This another Greek letter. I think it is kita. It indicates that a large change in pressure is needed to cause a small fractional change in volume. So the fluid with a large compressibility factor is essentially incompressible. This is typical for liquids. That's why liquids are considered to be incompressible. So for example, pressure of water at normal atmospheric conditions must be raised to 210 atmosphere to compress it 1%. If you want to compress water from 100% to 99%, suppose you have 100 liter of water. Okay, if you want to compress it to 99 liter, you have to raise the pressure from 1 atmospheric pressure to 210 atmospheric pressure, or the bulk modulus of elasticity would be 21,000 atmosphere. 21,000 atmosphere. So this bulk modulus of elasticity or coefficient of compressibility increases with the pressure and decreases with the temperature. So it is increasing with pressure and decreasing with temperature. So the increase of oil pressure from 0 to 300 bar, when the pressure is increased from 0 to 300 bar, increases the bulk modulus of elasticity about 21%, while the temperature increase of 40 degrees Celsius decreases the bulk modulus of elasticity by 25%. So a 40 degrees Celsius difference in temperature and 300 bar difference in pressure will create almost same effect in the bulk modulus. Almost same effect. However, this coefficient of compressibility is usually assumed constant when working at ordinary range of pressures and temperatures. So this is applicable, this variation or this bulk modulus of elasticity needs to be considered only when we are operating in a varying range of pressure and temperature. Usually this is assumed to be constant. So we have discussed three properties: viscosity, density, and compressibility. We will continue the discussion on the properties of hydraulic oils in the coming session. Till then, goodbye. Have a great day. If you have any doubts, please comment below and don't forget to subscribe to get updations of new videos. Your comments are very important. If something needs to be modified or something needs to be changed, if there are some errors, please let me know so that I can correct it in the upcoming lectures. Thank you.